Hello everyone, and welcome back to my chatty, sassy channel here on YouTube, where I talk about all things luxury, be it luxury fashion, luxury travel, or life's luxuries in general. And today, what I'm going to be talking about is pre-loved luxury, and why I think that going with pre-loved luxury can be such a better option than going for new from store. And this is coming from a place of when I think about the luxury shopping that I want to do this year, when I think about the luxury shopping that I did last year, when I think about my recent luxury experiences, I have become, for the most part, very disillusioned to luxury in the past year and a half. And that's for many reasons, but particularly because I've had a lot of bad experiences. I've had bad experiences with Louis Vuitton, with Hermes, with Cartier, with AP. I'll link some of those videos down below where I talk about some of those failures. And so when I look at all these different things together, the whole point of luxury is that it's supposed to feel special. It's supposed to feel elevated. On top of actually, it's supposed to be elevated. It's supposed to be nicer. It's supposed to be better quality, better conditions, better everything. That's why we have for so long been able to justify the price of these things. But when I look at the price of where things are now, and when my accountant brain kicks in with the reasonable side of things, I have to realize that a lot of my shopping going forward isn't going to be new stuff in store because I simply don't find it justified. But I still love luxury, and I love what luxury was, and I think that that is why I find myself more and more gravitating towards pre-loved items. When I went into my closet right before filming this, I started looking at my luxury handbags. And when I look at my luxury bags I would consider to be true total luxury. They're not a modern luxury brand, they're not a designer brand. I have 9 of those bags. 2 from Chanel, a Fendi, a Dior, 2 YSL, and then 3 Louis Vuittons. And when I look at that, 6 of those bags are pre-loved. If I bring in luggage, that gets me up to 12 pieces. 7 of them are pre-loved. And the pieces that are pre-loved are some of my absolute favorite pieces in my entire collection. My Walk from Chanel, my Chanel Beige Classic Flat, my Lady Dior, 3 of my absolute favorite bags, pre-loved. My duffel from Louis Vuitton that I love using because I don't have to worry about it, pre-loved. My Neverfull that I take on every single trip with me, that anytime I'm going into the office I take with me, pre-loved. Then I turn and I look at my jewelry box and I look at my collection of jewelry. And I do have a lot of jewelry pieces that are new from the store. But I also have so many jewelry pieces passed down from my mother-in-law, from my grandmother-in-law, pieces that I have gotten pre-loved that I love. I have 2 David Yurman pieces that my husband and I have purchased that were pre-loved discontinued pieces. And some of those pieces, 2 of the rings that I have on now, which I wasn't planning to talk about this when I put these on, but this ring and then this ring here in the center are 2 of my absolute favorite pieces. And in fact, my favorite David Yurman pieces, the ones that to me are the most standout amazing pieces, are these 2 rings, my cuff that I have, my ginormous thick cuff, and my really thick chain. All 4 of these pieces are pre-loved because they were handed down from my mother-in-law when she passed away. I got some of her pieces, and I love these pieces. And they're even more special because they're passed down. I have pieces that I have purchased with the intent that one day I will get to pass them down. My watch, I hope that one day I will get to pass that down in my family. My trunk, I hope that one day I'll get to pass down in my family, because those are pieces that I intend to be heirloom. That's what luxury is supposed to be. But when we have things like Murakami, where I love this little piece that I got, it's super beautiful, but people got pieces that are blurry. They got pieces without the correct charms on them. They had horrible, awful experiences for a lot of people across the board. That's not luxury. when you even go back to the original pieces, and there's sort of a controversial issue, but the original Murakami pieces, a lot of them had bleeding on the original white pieces because they'd put this red interior and it bled through the white canvas. And now those are sort of collector's pieces because they have those blemishes and those faults to them. But a lot of people also don't like the original pieces because of that. And because of that, they didn't do a bright color inside the white, they just did a plain beige. And so going forward, when I look at things that I want to add to my collection, I know that the pieces that I most want to add this year specifically are pre-loved pieces. I want to look for vintage couture Dior. I want to look for vintage YSL pieces. I want to look for a pre-loved Lady Dior, for a pre-loved Prada re-edition in the wave blue. On the two bags, not having anything to do with current day quality. Well, the Dior having to do with quality of working conditions, allegedly. But the Prada one, I feel like it's overpriced for what it is. Even when I look at YSL, and I love YSL on this channel. Anyone who has watched my channel for long enough knows that I love YSL. I'm not thrilled with the prices that they're coming out with. There are a lot of bags that they've come out with recently that I have loved. I've absolutely loved the bags, but they don't make my heart happy at the price. I don't love that bag enough to pay $5,000, to pay $3,000 for a small little bag, because it's not a bag that's worth it. I look at it and I look at the amount of leather and the amount of work that would have gone into that bag, and it's not a $3,000 bag. It's not a $5,000 bag. And so to see that is a turnoff. When we have all these different luxury houses who are going through so much inconsistency and so much turnover, and where everything is starting to look so much alike, it's not special anymore. And to Dale from Dale's Addictions point that she has made on things like Murakami being hard to get, on luxury needing to be exclusive because it doesn't necessarily feel exclusive anymore, I agree with her on that. It doesn't feel as exclusive and as special. And that's why they're pushing these prices up, is to make it more exclusive and more special. But knowing that stuff is nowhere near worth the price that they're now charging, that takes away from the special feeling as well. And so when I look at wanting those bags, when I look at, there's a vintage Celine bag that I saw on What Goes Around Comes Around live last night, I think it was. I was watching this, compared to when I'm filming, maybe it was a couple nights ago. I'm already in tax season, so my days are already totally skewed up and way out the window. But when I saw those pieces, seeing these beautiful, unique pieces, seeing these pieces that are 20 years old, 30 years old, and seeing on how gorgeous that they are, how well that they've held up, that's what ignites my love for luxury again. And so I think that going forward, a lot of my focus is going to be on pre-loved and vintage beautiful pieces. I was talking to a former colleague of mine, and we were talking about commercialization, capitalization, and this need that people have to buy all this stuff that we don't really need. And I recognize that I don't need half the stuff that I own. But when I look at things like 6 out of 9 of my luxury handbags being pre-loved, several of those being very vintage, it makes me feel a bit differently. It makes me feel like I'm not being so wasteful. It makes me feel better about the value that I'm getting for my money. It makes me feel better about not contributing to a whole lot of waste or a whole lot of over-consumerism. And it also makes me love those pieces more because they have a history apart from me. And I know that sounds sort of like I'm anthropomorphizing these, and I know that I just butchered that word. I cannot say this word. I'm trying to say this word now for 6 times. Giving the bags people characteristics by saying that like they have a story, by saying her, by saying him about the bags. But when I look at these pieces, to me they are art pieces. They are, like Stanley Tucci says in The Devil Wears Prada, it's art that you live your life in. And knowing that this is art that has been a part of other people's lives is really special to me. Knowing that my classic flap came from Una's personal collection, knowing that my Neverfull came from a dear friend of mine's personal collection. She'd gotten it for her sister, and then her sister had passed away, and so then it had become her bag again, and then she passed it on to me. And so having this bag that's a part of her story and connected to someone that she loves, but then given to me and being connected to a person that I love, that adds value to the piece that has nothing to do with what it's actually worth. Also, when I look at the fact that she gave me that bag and now that bag is over $2,000, I love my Neverfull. And don't get me wrong, if something were to happen to my Neverfull, I'd probably go out and buy another one. But I wouldn't buy a new one. I wouldn't buy a new one because I'm not paying over $2,000 for that bag. That's silly. I look at my duffel bag that I got that I think it was somewhere between like $1,000 and $1,200 with tax. And my duffel is gorgeous. It's so gorgeous and so patinaed, and everything about it I love because I'm not afraid to use it. Now, I do keep it away from my dogs, specifically the little puppy, because even though she's no longer a little puppy, she drools, she is feisty, she has no awareness of where she is in space. I keep sort of a blanket over the duffel when she's in the car with the duffel, because I don't misuse this item. It's survived for over 25 years. It survived for over a quarter of a century, so I take care of it. But having it, I'm comfortable using it. I'm comfortable taking it on a plane. I'm comfortable putting it in my car. I'm comfortable having it wherever I go because I got it pre-loved. And it was truly pre-loved. There were a couple of blemishes on it, and that made me love it even more and be even more comfortable using it. Then you have another side of things, which is the nostalgia side of things. And there aren't really any pieces that I have, aside from the fact that I bought this one because I wanted a piece but didn't want to go from the original collection. You have people like Meredith who collect all of these different collections and then restore them because it is a love of that history. And I think that that is what luxury is missing today, is that so many of these brands, they're no longer owned by the families that started them. They're no longer owned by the people that started them. They've gone so far away from who they were, what made them special, their history, that they're boring. I want to see Dior return to their very ladylike, prim and proper silhouette. I want to see the artistry of trunk making in Louis Vuitton. I want to see a whole range of amazing silver pieces from Tiffany. I don't care about seeing crazy graffiti print bags from Dior on Instagram influencers. I don't care about seeing the Tiffany lock collection on all of these different influencers. I want the brands to be of a quality that they speak for themselves like they used to. I want to see the history pulling me in. I want to see the classic pieces pulling me in. Cartier doesn't have to advertise their love bracelet. They don't have to advertise their tank watch. Louis Vuitton doesn't have to advertise their trunks. They honestly didn't have to advertise this collection. Just the fact that it was coming would have sold it on its own to people. And so, to me, I think that they have gotten so caught up in consumerism that they think that they need that to make money, when in reality, they need to get back to doing what made them special. They need to get back to the features of the brand that made them special, and that will help command the price that they're now wanting to charge. That will help bring people back to the stores. That will help people see that there is value in putting their money into these items, that there is joy and that there's uniqueness and there's something special and something other about getting these pieces. And I think that that's what's going to make the difference with luxury going forward.